Good morning, dear friends and colleagues. First of all, let me say I'm very much pleased to be here in Portugal in this historical building for a very timely and important conference. And I'd like to thank our Portuguese colleagues, authorities of Portugal, here is the Vice President of the Assembly and all the leadership, of course, our delegation, the Parliamentary Assembly for this initiative, and personally Vice President Isabel Santos. I think it's really very useful to have this debate here, discussion here in this hall, and I'm very pleased to see here a lot of very important people in the field, politicians, of course, distinguished members of the Portuguese Parliament, our colleagues from the Parliamentary Assembly, leaders of our Secretariat, ambassadors. I know that we have also as guests representatives of civil society and young people, so everybody is interested in the topic because it's really affecting the lives of every citizen. In this era dominated by debates about fake news, cybersecurity, online radicalization and data protection, it is essential that we come together to discuss these issues. In the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, we've been increasingly focused on cybersecurity for the past decade. We adopted our first resolution on the topic in 2008, identifying cyber threats as some of the most serious security challenges of our time. Over the past 10 years, these challenges have only grown. Our members will recall that during our latest autumn meeting in Andorra, we discussed how cyber threats can jeopardize the way of the life of modern societies and the whole of civilization. In our increasingly digital world, armed conflicts are not the only breeding ground for threats against governments and citizens. In cyberspace, we can see and we see new challenges emerging and old challenges evolving. Whether the issue is child sexual exploitation, terrorist recruitment, or crimes as identity theft and fraud, the Internet offers new opportunities for criminals and extremists. We must respond effectively and ensure that the response is proportionate. Currently, there are policies being pursued by the United States and European Union to relax international rules for cross-border law enforcement investigations of cybercrime. While these rule changes might be well-intentioned, what we don't want is a race to the bottom of weaker privacy protections around the globe. While addressing these problems, in other words, we must always uphold the highest standards of respect for fundamental freedoms. Recognizing the essential role of cooperation between governments to cope with the modern security risks, we should revise existing legal frameworks and harmonize relevant legislation to make international cooperation more effective and efficient. All actors and stakeholders must search in good faith for solutions based on international law in a way that does not infringe on freedom of information or individual privacy. Although governments often see cybercrime through the lens of threat to state security, whether the protection of digital infrastructure or ensuring the protection of state secrets, our citizens are no less vulnerable to cybercrime and breaches of their personal data. We saw recently the damage done by the Cambridge Analytica data breach, which affected millions of Facebook users. These people had their personal data collected and inappropriately sold to politicians to advance political agendas and careers. The scandal raised important legal and ethical questions about the nature of privacy in a digital age. For example, what are the implications for democracy when extremely detailed personal data can be used by skilled political operatives to influence public opinion. While Facebook has been in the spotlight, this sweeping data collection is an issue throughout cyberspace, and this raises the fundamental question of whether Internet users should expect any privacy protection at all. So we all know, a lot of sayings about new technologies, and technology is not good or bad in and of itself. It depends on the people who use it. When intimate and detailed knowledge of citizens' views can be collected and sold to the highest bidders, citizens become prime targets for fake news campaigns and propaganda. This in turn can have dire consequences for functioning of democracy. There has been much speculation that recent elections have also been the target of cyber attacks. Here I see President of the IFES, Mr. Sweeney, and we welcome that our American friends are here. In Washington, during our visit, we discussed the issue of linkage between cybersecurity and election process, and I'm very happy that Mr. Sweeney and colleagues will take part in the discussions on the topic. And whether electoral outcomes have been affected is not a matter of debate, but what is not a matter of debate is that this possibility of troubling. And even in past elections we have been secure. There's no reason to assume that future elections will remain secure. So we must make every effort in protecting our electoral systems from hacking. I hope that in this forum we can exchange best practices, develop confidence-building measures, identify the most effective ways to build resilient democracies and protect against cyber threats while also protecting freedom of information and personal privacy. I have some the quotes in my speech, and it's always good to refer to wise people. As one British writer said, there are two ways of meeting difficulties. You alter the difficulties, or you alter yourself to meet them. So I think we can all agree that technology has offered great advances for our civilization. It has helped to connect the world, share knowledge, promote commerce, and to advance democratic development. Even here, in our assembly, in this parliament, we're all connected through our different devices, smartphones, and unable to change and to gather information as fast as ever. This is a era also of digital diplomacy, and we should realize that the internet also could help to solve important foreign policy problems. Dear colleagues and friends, what we now must do is make sure that this technology is secure so that the challenges of the digital age are managed in a way that ensures both security and liberty. It is up to us to make sure that modern technology remains a useful servant and not a dangerous master. So I once again like to thank our Portuguese hosts, Parliament of Portugal, its leadership, Isabel and all the team here. I see Neil Susanna, also one of the leaders of our assembly, and some other friends of Portuguese Parliament. We appreciate that. We appreciate your hospitality. We appreciate your initiative, and I look forward to exploring these topics in more details with you all. Thank you very much, and wish you a very fruitful conference.